Before you were born, I said your name in a place no human ear could hear. The angels went silent. The council stood still. And from that moment on, nothing in your life was ever random. You've felt it. The pull, the pressure, the fire that wouldn't die, no matter how much you tried to silence it. You thought you were forgotten, but heaven never stopped watching you. And now I'm about to tell you why everything had to happen this way. Your name has been spoken, and what comes next will shake everything. Child, something sacred happened, something you didn't see, but heaven witnessed it, something you didn't hear, but angels went silent when it was spoken. And now I need you to pause, not because I need your attention, but because everything in the spirit just shifted, and your name is the reason why. Yes, your name was spoken in the heavenly council, not whispered, not suggested, spoken with authority, with intention, with clarity. It wasn't a passing mention, it was a decree, and everything after that word started to move. Do you feel the tremble in the atmosphere around you lately? The strange stillness? The rising weight in your chest that doesn't come from fear, but from the sense that something enormous is about to unfold? That's not your imagination. That's alignment. That's the echo of my voice still vibrating through realms. Because when your name was spoken, everything had to answer. You're still waiting for me to prove myself to you, but I've already moved. I moved the moment I heard the cry from the depths of your soul that even you couldn't translate. You thought no one heard it. But child, the moment your pain rose to heaven in silence, your name was written on the wind. And the council gathered. Listen to me. This is not metaphor. This is not poetry. This is the spiritual architecture of how heaven moves. And you were the reason heaven paused. Do you understand what that means? It means destinies shifted to make space for you. It means scrolls were unrolled and timelines revisited. It means that the suffering you thought had disqualified you was actually the evidence submitted to the council to confirm what I already knew. You were ready for the next chapter, not because you were strong, but because you didn't let the darkness make you forget my voice. Even when you doubted me, you were still looking in my direction, and that is what I saw. That is what I brought before the council. Not your mistakes, not your failures, your reach. You didn't know it, but every time you got back up, bruised and questioning, heaven recorded it. Not like a judge waiting for your slip-ups, but like a witness gathering proof that you were becoming something no one saw coming. I asked the council one question. Are you ready to see what I placed in this one? And heaven leaned forward. Because what I placed in you was not fragile. It was not shallow. It was not trendy. It was ancient. And now it's beginning to rise. Child, do you ever wonder why certain doors wouldn't open, even though you prayed with all your strength? Do you wonder why others who barely tried seemed to move forward while you were stuck in spiritual quicksand? It's not punishment, it's preservation. I wasn't hiding your destiny from you. I was hiding you from every force that would have tried to kill it before it could awaken. You think you're late, but I say you're right on time. Because when heaven says now, it doesn't matter what time it is on earth. The council didn't gather for everyone. They gathered because of what you carry. You've always felt different, misunderstood, too sensitive, too deep, too much. But listen to me. You were never too much. You were too consecrated for shallow spaces. You were not called to blend in. You were marked to shake foundations. That's why the silence in your life has been so loud. It's not rejection, it's reverence. Heaven was holding its breath, waiting for you to be ready for what you were born to release. If anything I'm saying is touching that buried place in your chest, the place that says, I've always known but never had words for it, then don't scroll past this moment like it's just another message. It's not. It's a divine alert. It's a trumpet in disguise, and your spirit just recognized the sound. If this word is echoing something you've carried but never spoken, type 11 in the comments below. Not for me, but for yourself, as a sign, I know this is for me. Because child, what comes next will not just change your life. It will reveal why your life had to be protected for so long. And I'm just getting started. You've asked me questions in the dark that you were too afraid to voice in the light. Why me? Why this path? Why does it hurt when I'm doing my best to follow you? And I didn't interrupt you. I let you ask them because I'm not afraid of your questions. I'm the one who gave you a soul deep enough to form them. You think questioning is doubting, but I call it seeking, and I never reject the heart that seeks me. Even if it trembles, even if it yells, even if it curses the silence. Because the truth is, my silence has never been absence. It's been alignment. I needed you to notice what others ignore. I needed your heart to remain tender while the world tried to make it hard. And I needed the cry in your chest to become louder than the noise around you. Because only then would you be able to hear what I'm about to reveal. Do you know what it means that your name was spoken in the council? It means the shaking that's begun in your life is not the end. It's the beginning of the revealing. Yes, I said revealing, because I'm not just moving things for you. I'm about to move through you, and that changes everything. There is something I embedded in your spirit before you were ever shaped in your mother's womb. A divine code, a heavenly frequency, a fire that would not be extinguished, no matter how much water the enemy threw at you. And lately, you've felt it trying to rise. Some days it feels like anxiety. Some days it feels like grief. Some days it burns like anger. And other days it hums like quiet joy that you can't explain. But it's all the same flame. And now I'm calling it to the surface. You thought your name was forgotten. You thought I had favorites and you were not one of them. But child, you've been the hidden one, not the rejected one, not the skipped one, the protected one. I don't expose what isn't ready to stand in the weight of glory. But when the council agreed, when all of heaven nodded, they didn't just release favor, they released timing. And timing is more powerful than any opportunity you've ever prayed for. This is what you didn't know. I wasn't just waiting for the right door. I was waiting for you to become the right key. I wasn't preparing a stage. I was forming a voice inside of you that would carry authority when it speaks. Because it's not about platforms, it's about presence, and yours has been refined in the fire. Do you want to know why they couldn't break you? Why you didn't lose your mind when you should have? Why, even with trembling hands, you kept showing up to life? Because I was with you in the trauma. I was with you in the betrayal. I was with you in the dark room when you screamed, "God, where are you?" I didn't answer with lightning. I answered with survival. You waking up the next morning still breathing was the answer. And now that you've survived what was meant to kill you, I'm giving you something the enemy never saw coming. Clarity. Clarity to see who you really are. Clarity to recognize the lies that have kept you small. Clarity to stand in rooms that once made you shrink. You keep praying for the next move, but I'm preparing you to be the move. What you carry is disruptive. It will shift atmospheres. It will trigger systems. It will awaken people who've been spiritually asleep their entire lives. And yes, some won't like that. Some will try to put you back in the box they're more comfortable with. Some will question your calling because they remember your history. But listen to me. Your history is not your hindrance. It's your evidence. It's the signature on the scroll that says, "This one is ready to be revealed." I'm not ashamed of your journey. I'm the author of it. And I don't write tragedies, I write testimonies. So when I say, your name was mentioned, I don't mean as a future possibility. I mean as a now assignment. It means the wait is over. The delay has served its purpose. The pruning is done. And what was hidden is about to speak. Don't try to go back to what felt safe. Safety is not the same as sanctification. You were sanctified in the storm, not the silence. And now that the storm has passed, I need you to listen closer than you ever have, because I'm about to give you instructions that will not make sense to your logic, but will resonate in your spirit like a tuning fork hitting steel. You'll know it's me, not because it feels easy, but because it feels weighty and wild and holy all at once. Don't run from that feeling, run toward it, because it means you're close. So close, you've always felt the fire. But this is the moment it catches wind. Are you ready to let me show you what that fire was always meant to consume? Child, the council spoke. Now the earth must respond. I need you to breathe for a moment. Slow down just for this, because what I'm about to reveal is going to pull something out of you that you buried a long time ago. You didn't bury it because you didn't care. You buried it because it hurt too much to carry. That dream, that fire, that knowing that you were meant for something more, but the world mocked it, and religion tried to sanitize it, and life just made it feel impossible. But listen to me. What I placed in you is not fragile. It's not dead. It's not lost. It's been hidden in the marrow of your soul, waiting for this moment. And now that heaven has spoken your name, everything that's been sleeping inside you is starting to wake up. Do you feel it? That tremble, that pull, that strange tension between where you are and where you know you're supposed to be. That's not anxiety, that's activation. Your spirit is responding to what your mind hasn't caught up with yet. Because when your name was mentioned in the council, the realms heard it, the angels stood at attention, demons began to shudder, and the timeline of your life began to reorganize around the divine mandate that just got released. You thought this year would be another slow one, another battle, another desert. But child, I just flipped the page, and the next chapter is nothing like the one before it. Now listen, this part is going to feel uncomfortable, because when I start moving this fast, you'll be tempted to cling to the old, even if it broke you. You'll want to run back to the familiar, even if it drained your soul, because the unknown terrifies the part of you that still doesn't believe you're worthy of glory. But I didn't just rescue you from darkness to leave you stuck in the hallway of hesitation. I'm calling you out of delay, out of shame, out of pretending to be small so others feel safe, out of rehearsing the story where you're always the one left behind. You've rehearsed pain long enough. Now it's time to rehearse prophecy. You've repeated defeat long enough. Now you're going to repeat every word I spoke over you before you ever breathed Earth's air. Because this isn't just about breakthrough, this is about identity. You forgot who you were, didn't you? You let the betrayal rename you. You let the loss reshape you. You let the silence convince you that I was done speaking. But child, I never stopped talking. You just stopped believing it could still be about you. But this has always been about you, not because you're better, but because you were chosen for something most wouldn't survive. And you're still here. That's the sign. You're still here, and that means you're still called, still marked, still on the path, even if you forgot there was a path. But I didn't. I've never taken my eyes off you, not even once. I was there when they lied about you. I was there when you cried over losses no one knew about. I was there when your faith cracked, but your feet kept moving. I was there every step, and I kept whispering, hold on, just a little longer. They're about to see why I chose you. The council didn't gather because of your perfection. They gathered because of your permission. You gave me your yes, even when you were broken. And child, that yes is what gave heaven the green light. You think the enemy has been attacking you because you're weak. But he's been attacking you because you're waking up. He saw the scroll before you did. He read the calling on your life before you knew how to pronounce it. That's why the warfare got worse when you tried to heal. That's why the pressure increased when you decided to forgive. That's why the loneliness felt unbearable right when you were starting to trust me again. He wanted you to believe that your season of silence meant abandonment, but it meant access. Access to revelations no one else in your bloodline carried. Access to the throne room when others were distracted. Access to the sound of my voice without needing lightning to confirm it. Because you, child, you've been learning to hear me in whispers. And that's why now, when I roar, your spirit doesn't run. You're ready. Yes, you. Even with your flaws, even with your uncertainty, even with the limp you walk with from wounds I still plan to heal. You're ready because your name has been marked in heaven as a carrier of something the world is desperate for. Truth with fire, love with backbone, purity with power. And when that kind of vessel rises, nothing stays the same. So I ask you again, do you feel it? Do you feel me pressing on your chest like a reminder? Do you feel the urgency in your breath? Do you feel the ache of divine purpose stretching inside your ribs like resurrection? If this word feels like it's reading a journal you never wrote out loud, type 2222 in the comments. Not to impress anyone, but to mark this moment with your agreement. A digital altar, a declaration to yourself, I know I've just been called, because child, you have been, and the heavens are holding their breath to see what happens next. And now, so is the earth. I need you to understand something, and I need you to let it wreck everything you thought was true about your own worth. You were never a backup plan. You were not God's maybe. You were not a second choice because someone else dropped the ball. You were not a spare key kept in case the real one failed. From the very beginning, you were the assignment. You were the move. You were the prophecy in skin, walking around wondering why the world felt too small for your soul. It's because it was. This world was never built to contain what I placed in you. It was meant to be transformed by it. And the reason you felt out of place even in rooms where everyone smiled, even in crowds where you should have fit in, is because your spirit has been carrying the sound of heaven in a world that forgot what glory sounds like. You've tried to mute it. You've tried to water it down. You've tried to shrink yourself to fit their expectations. But every time you did, something inside you broke. Do you know why? Because I didn't build you for smallness. I didn't wire your bones for shallow. I didn't place a cosmic roar in your belly so you could whisper your way through life, hoping not to offend anyone with the weight of your presence. Child, hear me. This is not arrogance. This is design. I designed you to disrupt darkness just by showing up. I designed you to carry weight that scares hell. I designed you to carry me. That's why it's always been heavy. That's why even when you're not trying, people watch you. That's why you can walk into a room and feel tension before a word is said. It's not paranoia, it's spiritual recognition. They see the echo of something ancient in your eyes and don't know how to name it, but the spirit realm does. You were born with blueprints in your veins, heavenly ones, battle-tested before you ever tasted betrayal on earth. That's why your heartbreaks didn't kill you. That's why rejection didn't fracture your faith beyond repair. That's why your most private collapse still ended with you whispering, God, if you're still there, I'll keep going. And I was always there. Even when you cursed the silence. Even when you stopped praying because you were afraid I wouldn't answer and it would hurt too much to face that kind of absence. But I never left. And now, I'm proving that by pulling back the curtain on what you've really carried all this time. You've been waiting on a breakthrough, but didn't realize you are the breakthrough. You've been begging me for confirmation, but I've been placing signs in the cracks of your days. In the lyrics that hit you out of nowhere, in the strangers who said things they couldn't have known, in the verses you stumbled on at 3 a.m., when sleep refused to come. And still you wondered, is it really me? Could I really be the one? Yes. You. Even with the scars. Even with the doubts. even with the questions you don't say out loud. You don't have to be certain to be called. You don't have to be fearless to be chosen. You just have to agree with the one who spoke your name before the stars ever learned how to shine. And I did speak your name, not just in the council, but in the silence before time. You were not summoned when the pain came. You were summoned before the war began. I positioned you as a solution before the world knew there was going to be a problem. So the warfare you've endured wasn't proof that I forgot you. It was proof that hell saw you rising before you did. And now you're standing in the doorway of the unveiling. This is the part of your story where the wounds start glowing. This is the chapter where what almost ended you becomes what anoints you. I didn't keep you hidden to punish you. I kept you hidden so the oil could multiply. I kept you hidden so when you stepped out, you wouldn't be empty. Because when you speak now, the weight of everything you've survived will be behind your words. When you walk now, the heavens will part for what's coming through you. And when you stand now, you will not shake. Not because you're unshakable, but because your roots are finally touching what they were made for. Child, this is not about hype. This is not about going viral. This is about eternity recognizing its own in you. You are not who they said you were. You are not who your failures tried to convince you you'd become. You are not the worst thing you've done. You are not the shame you swallowed in the night while no one saw how hard you were trying. You are the one the council spoke of. You are the one who kept loving when bitterness made more sense. You are the one who forgave while still bleeding. You are the one who said yes when every part of your body was screaming run. And that is why this fire will not consume you. It will crown you. It will brand you with glory. It will mark you with the sound of heaven. It will surround you like a mantle that announces, this one belongs to the King. And everything that tried to bury you will now have to watch you rise. You've been waiting for someone to come and unlock you, to tell you it's your turn, to tell you it's safe now. But I didn't raise you to live on permission slips. I raised you in the wilderness so you would know how to move even when no one clapped. Child, no one's coming to crown you because I already did. You've been searching for signs, but the sign is that you're still here. The sign is that you're reading this right now, and something inside you won't sit still. Something is leaping, something is breaking, something is remembering that you weren't born to survive cycles. You were born to break them. That's why the war in your life was never random. The patterns in your family line, the addiction, the silence, the guilt, the rage, the poverty, the fear, they were all threatened by you. You didn't come from them. You came through them, and you were born to end what others endured. That's why it's been so hard. That's why the pressure didn't let up, because you carry the weight of turning points in your very presence. But you've confused resistance with rejection. You've confused delay with denial. And you've assumed that because the path was painful, the promise must have passed you by. But listen, pain has always been the process. You didn't fail. You're in the fire. And the fire isn't punishment. It's refinement. It's not burning you up. It's burning off everything that can't go where I'm sending you. Let me say it plainly. This next move will cost you your comfort, not your calling, not your soul, not your identity, just your illusion of control. Because what I'm about to do in you will make your past make sense. It will make your losses holy. It will make your tears become keys. That's why I allowed the isolation. That's why I allowed the stripping. That's why I allowed them to walk away. You thought they were rejecting you, but I was extracting them because they couldn't honor what was about to be released in you. You've been trying to explain yourself to people who were never meant to understand your spirit. Stop. Your oil does not require their approval. I am the one who anoints. I am the one who opens doors. I am the one who calls things forth that have been buried under layers of almost and not yet. And I am calling you. Not the version of you who has it all figured out. not the sanitized version, not the fake smile version, the real you, the raw you, the aching, honest, uncertain, still standing, deeply feeling you. That's the one I'm releasing. Because the world doesn't need more plastic prophets. The world needs someone who's been through hell and still carries heaven in their voice. The world needs you. This is your turn. Not because you climbed the ladder, but because you laid down your pride. Because you didn't quit when it got dark. Because you surrendered, and now I'm responding. You're not entering a breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. Every room you walk into is about to shift, not because of your name, but because of the name that covers you. When you speak now, atmospheres will bend, not because you're loud, but because you've been crushed enough to carry the kind of authority only brokenness can birth. So walk in like I sent you, because I did. If this word is stirring something ancient in your soul, if it feels like I'm echoing a conversation your spirit had with me before your body ever breathed, then don't just scroll past this moment like it's inspirational fluff. It's a summons, and you know it. Type 333 in the comments if you feel that shift, not as a trend, but as a testimony. I hear you, God, and I accept the call, because I'm not asking you to feel qualified. I'm asking you to agree. Just agree. Just say yes, and watch what I do with your yes. Child, what's coming is not a gentle breeze. It's a wind that will knock down everything built on pretense. It's a shaking of everything that has tried to contain your voice. It's a roar from the inside out. It's the unveiling. And when it happens, don't shrink, don't apologize, don't explain, just stand. And remember, you didn't arrive here by accident. The council said, now, and heaven never miscalculates time. Do you feel it shifting? Look around. The things that once held you down don't seem to fit anymore. The patterns you used to tolerate are now unbearable. The voices you used to fear don't hold weight like they used to. This isn't a coincidence. This is a consecration. You've outgrown the cage, not because you became better, but because you finally stopped believing you belonged there. And that shift, that holy unrest, it's not your breakdown, it's your release. I'm stirring your atmosphere right now. I'm pulling the veil off. I'm disrupting patterns, delaying plans, closing doors not to harm you, but to redirect you. Because, child, you were about to settle. You were about to compromise. You were about to make a permanent decision in a temporary wilderness. And I had to interrupt it. I had to let the plan fall through. I had to allow the miscommunication. I had to let them walk away. Because where I'm taking you requires clear space, no distractions, no half-hearted attachments, no false comforts dressed up like safety. You thought you were losing, but you were being positioned. Every time something didn't work out, heaven was making room. You don't even know the prayers I answered by saying no. You don't even realize how I protected your destiny by closing what your heart begged me to keep open. But I saw what you didn't. I saw the weight that would have crushed you. I saw the rooms that would have seduced you. I saw the people that would have drained you, and I said, not this one, not my child. So I rerouted you, and yes, the reroute felt like rejection, but it was redirection into alignment. Now listen, because this is where it gets real. You've reached the part of the story where your faith is no longer just belief, it's action. I've placed a nudge inside of you lately, a persistent push, a whisper that won't stop. A vision you try to ignore because it feels too big. But that's the point. I'm not asking you to feel ready. I'm asking you to take the first step. You want the map, but I am the map. You want clarity, but I am the light. And if you'll trust me, really trust me, you're about to see what happens when obedience becomes your language. Watch how favor finds you. Watch how doors swing open where there were only walls. Watch how the right people recognize you, not because you're loud, but because your spirit has been forged in fire. Child, you've prayed for this. You've cried for this. You've waited in rooms where no one knew your name, while I was preparing a table in a place they'll never expect you to walk into. And now I'm saying, move. Not when it feels easy, not when it makes sense. Now, because the blessing I've reserved for you is waiting in the obedience you're afraid to step into. You've asked me to show you what's next, but I've been waiting on you to move like it's already yours. You carry oil that doesn't spill in safe places. It flows where there's risk. It flows where there's hunger. It flows when you walk with authority you didn't earn, but you inherited. That's what the council affirmed. Your inheritance. Not just survival, not just peace, but impact. You weren't just born to heal, you were born to activate. You weren't just called to recover, you were called to release. You've been afraid to speak, worried they'll think you're trying to prove something. But child, when I release fire, it doesn't whisper, it consumes. Don't water down what I've given you because someone else can't handle its purity. Don't hide your anointing to protect people who never wanted you free. Don't apologize for becoming the version of yourself that can no longer play small. This is not the season of explanation. This is the season of demonstration. You don't need to announce yourself. Just walk in what I said, and the evidence will follow. Let them wonder. Let them question. Let them doubt. You're not performing. You're fulfilling. And fulfillment always looks strange to those who've only known containment. So here's my question. Are you ready to walk where they said you'd never stand? Are you ready to move with a grace that makes no sense? Are you ready to stop asking for signs and start becoming one? Child, if you knew who was watching, if you knew what I've already set in place, if you knew how close the shift is, you wouldn't be hesitating. You'd be stepping. This is the moment. You've crossed the line, and there is no going back. And that is exactly how I planned it. You've been asking the wrong question. It's not why me, it's why now. And here's my answer. Because you're the only one in your bloodline who didn't surrender to the silence. You're the only one who still hears me, even when you pretend not to, even when you drown it in noise, even when you tell yourself, maybe this is just in my head. It's not, it's me. And I haven't stopped speaking your name. From the beginning, when the blueprint of time was unrolled in my hands, there was a moment, a holy moment, where all of heaven paused because a name was about to be written on a page titled End Time Witness. And I wrote yours, not because you were qualified, but because you would say yes, because you would feel everything and still not go numb, because you would break and still choose light, because you would doubt and still lean forward, because you would question and still follow. I didn't call you because you were fearless. I called you because you wouldn't fake it, and that kind of truth is rare in this age. That's why your process has felt like pressure. You were not being tested to prove yourself to me. You were being pressed to extract the oil. You've got something inside of you that isn't common, something wild and weighty and completely resistant to imitation. That's why no one else could wear your shoes. That's why when they tried to copy you, it didn't carry the same power. Because I didn't give them your scroll, I gave it to you. And you've tried to run from it. You've tried to exchange it for an easier path. You've begged me, please give this calling to someone else. But I won't. Not because I need you to suffer, but because I made you to shift atmospheres. And you can't shift what you avoid. I didn't raise a runner, I raised a remnant. You are part of the generation that won't bow. You are part of the ones who rise while others sleep. You are one of those who carry revival in their bones and don't need a stage to prove it. This is the hour of the unseen firebrands, and you are one of them. You want to know what happens next? Everything. Everything changes when you stop doubting that it was always meant to be you. Yes, you with the fears, you with the hidden anger, you with the memories that still sting when no one's looking. You're still the one I'm choosing. because you never let the fire in your chest die completely, even when no one else fed it, even when it made you feel like a stranger in your own skin. Do you understand what that means? It means you've been faithful in the most secret place, the place no one sees but me. And now I will reward you in the open. You've paid a price in silence. Now I'm about to pay it forward in favor. You've endured misunderstanding. Now I'm about to mark you with unmistakable authority. The council didn't just speak over your life. They assigned heaven's resources to your name. That's why everything is shifting now. That's why you've been feeling the stretch, the ache, the press. That's why your spirit won't let you settle, because it knows it's time. This isn't about hype. This isn't about being noticed. This is about being ready. You thought you had more time, but I'm telling you, this is acceleration. What used to take years will now take moments, because your obedience shortened the distance. So I ask you now, not as a test, but as an invitation. Will you walk forward like the ground has already been prepared? Will you speak like your voice already carries thunder? Will you stand like the one who called you is standing behind you, beside you, in you? Because I am, and I'm not letting go now. If anything in you is trembling with recognition, if your heart is burning with the ache of, I've known this was coming, if you feel like this is the moment you've been waiting for without knowing the words for it, then type 444444 in the comments. Not as a chant, as a witness, a marker, a cry. I won't run anymore. This is my time. Because, child, you are not next. You are now. And the heavens are responding. You're not imagining it. The shaking, the pull, the unraveling of things you once thought were solid, the internal tension between who you were taught to be and who heaven knows you are. You've been praying for a miracle, but what if I told you the miracle is already in motion and you are the catalyst? This is not a test. This is not a delay. This is the beginning of fulfillment, and you're standing in it. Feel the atmosphere around you. It's heavier now, isn't it? Not with fear, but with weight. Not pressure, presence. That's not just you being emotional. That's the realm around you responding to the verdict from above. This one is ready. Heaven is not silent right now. Heaven is roaring, and earth is about to echo. What I'm placing in your life next won't look like what you lost. What I'm giving you now won't resemble what was taken. This isn't a recovery mission. This is resurrection. Everything the enemy tried to bury, your voice, your clarity, your influence, your joy, is coming up from the ground with interest. This is payback. This is restoration with acceleration. This is the moment your scars start glowing. This is the chapter where the pain that tried to silence you becomes the volume button of heaven. Watch what begins to happen now. Doors you never knocked on will open. People you never chased will find you. Opportunities you thought were missed will show up in unexpected packages. Why? Because once the council speaks, creation must obey, and creation knows your name. Even if you don't fully believe it yet, creation knows you. Mountains recognize your shadow. Storms slow down when your voice rises. Systems tremble when your feet touch ground. Because you don't just walk, you carry. And now you're beginning to walk like you know it. That shift in your posture, that fire behind your eyes, that stillness that makes no sense given what you've been through. That's me. You're not empty. You're not stuck. You're not too late. You're armed with revelation, with resilience, with a roar that's been forming in the caves of your process. And now, it's time to release it. But hear me. This next season is not about striving. It's about standing. You don't have to perform to be chosen. You don't have to chase what's already chasing you. You just have to move when I say move and speak when I fill your mouth. I will send divine interruptions, divine alignments, divine collisions. People will say, "How did this happen so fast?" And you'll smile because you'll know. It didn't happen fast. It happened after years of unseen faithfulness, after nights of crying and still believing, after crushing and pruning and choosing love again. This is not sudden. This is the culmination. But child, you still have a choice. You can go back. You can shrink again. You can make excuses. You can try to fit in rooms that I've already walked you out of. But if you do, you'll feel it instantly. The weight will return, but not with glory. It'll be the heaviness of delay, the ache of what if. And I love you too much to let that happen. So here I am, again, knocking not on your door, but on your agreement. Because that's all I need. I don't need your perfection. I don't need your certainty. I just need your surrender. Will you let me prove that what's ahead is better than what you had to survive? Will you let me show you why the enemy was so afraid of you stepping into this moment? Will you stop asking if you're enough and just let me be enough through you? Because I will. I've waited for this. The angels have waited. Creation has waited. But the waiting ends the moment you believe this one thing. You were made for this. You didn't stumble into this moment. You were summoned, marked, positioned. And if you'll walk forward with nothing but obedience and a whisper of faith, I'll meet you with signs, wonders, and divine provision that will leave you undone. Child, the earth is not just watching, it's groaning. It's calling for the sons and daughters to rise, to be revealed. And now, your revealing begins. Let me tell you a secret now that the veil is gone. You've always been dangerous, not because of your strength, but because of your surrender. Because surrendered hearts can't be controlled by fear. Because surrendered hearts can't be bribed by applause. Because surrendered hearts become mirrors of heaven on earth. And that's what you are now. You've crossed over. You may not feel it yet, but the realms do. You've stepped out of survival mode, out of begging, out of waiting for permission. You are now walking in the aftermath of the council's decree. And everything, I mean everything, is adjusting around you. Child, I told the winds to listen for your voice. I told the ground to rise beneath your feet. I told the days ahead to prepare space for your arrival. I told favor to recognize your scent. I told angels to guard your threshold. And I told darkness to back down. Because my child is awake now. You've remembered who you are. Not the version this world tried to mold. Not the version your trauma tried to shrink. Not the version your enemies tried to break. But the one I formed in fire, the one born of my breath, the one who carries thunder under quiet eyes. And now that you've remembered, it's time to move with evidence. No more apologies for your fire. No more shrinking to make them feel comfortable. No more playing small so others don't feel challenged. They were always meant to be challenged because you were always meant to lead. And leadership doesn't start on platforms. It starts in rooms where you're still healing. It starts in whispers you finally say out loud. It starts in standing when everything says lie down. This is your confirmation. Heaven has backed you. The council spoke and the anointing was released. The moment you agreed, the power began to move. And now I'm asking you to believe something that will change everything if you let it take root. You are the sign. You are the proof of prophecy fulfilled. You are the answer to generations of prayers. You are the echo of divine timing. You are the fire they can't explain but can't ignore. You are not just living a story. You are fulfilling a scroll. So when the voice of doubt comes, and it will, silence it with the truth. Heaven has spoken. I am sent. When the loneliness creeps in, let your spirit remember. This path is narrow, but it is holy. When fear tells you to turn back, remind it. The council already said go. Child, this is not the end. This is the activation. This is the turning point. This is the unveiling of one who was forged in shadows to shine in the storm. So what do you do now? You speak, you walk, you carry, you trust. And when you feel weak again, when you feel unqualified, out of place, unsure, come back to this word. Read it again. Let it pierce through the noise. Because this wasn't a message. This was a marking. The heavens are not waiting anymore. They've moved. Now it's your turn to move with them. You are not broken. You are opened. You are not behind. You are becoming. You are not late. You are launched. And if this word has burned through the silence in your soul, if something deep inside of you is standing up again, for the first time in years without needing applause or permission, then type 5555 in the comments. Not because you need to be seen, but because heaven just saw you stand. Because the earth just felt the weight of you saying, I accept what's been written. I'm ready. And child, you have no idea what comes next. But I do. And it's going to leave you breathless. Because the glory that's about to surround you has been waiting since the beginning of time for this moment, for this choice, for you. Now go, let the world meet what the council already knows. You were born for this.